All right. Good morning, guys. So, what I want to do today with this short video is I want to go over last week's results from the political spectrum assignment. Trying to come up with an idea of where, as of right now, you guys fall on this spectrum. Okay, when it comes to politics, and I know that politics are not always exciting. I'll be the first one to tell you that. But it is something that the more politically informed you are, and I know you guys are not at an age where you can vote yet, but you are at an age where your political identity is starting to form. So it's not a bad idea to keep up on current events and things that are going on around your town, your city, state, country. Even internationally, all of those things, all of those events that we watch on the news and people debate about, those are all political topics for the most part. So the more up to date you are with that stuff, it makes it a lot easier over time for you to develop your own identity, to figure out where you fall in this spectrum. So I just wanted to show you guys the results. There won't be any individual results that are shown. The only thing that will show is the names of the people that actually completed the assignment. So 71 out of the 83, 84 of you. So pretty good. I'm going to stop accepting responses officially, just so the numbers don't change while we're talking. So by class, again, these colors are not, doesn't link with your actual class colors, but just kind of shows how many of you did which one. So not 100% participation from each class, but the vast majority of you did complete it. So thank you to those of you who did that. So before we talk about that, let's just take a look at this chart because I've been using the words political spectrum quite a bit. So some of you may be trying to, figure out what does that mean. So in general, what it means is it's a way for you guys to have an idea of where you fall, when it comes to your political beliefs, your beliefs about government. And in a way, it's really what it comes down to is how involved do you want the government to be in your life? That's pretty much what it is. So if you take a look at this in front of you, this little line pretty much looks like a timeline almost. Like if we've ever looked at timelines in the past, kind of looks like that. So as you can see, the bird says the political spectrum. If you are somewhere, so right over here, generally speaking, this is where you would fall if you would declare yourself as an independent, meaning that you're not really one way or the other. You're kind of in the middle. Now, most people may say they're independent, but in most cases, they tend to lean one way or the other. So in this example, most of us tend to be either on the right or on the left. So what does that mean exactly? Again, we've talked about this a little bit, but just in case we forgot. So if you are more on the right side of the political spectrum, okay, right, conservative, Republican, okay, that means that you are not as keen on the government having a major impact in your life. I mean, they're always going to be involved in some way for the most part, but you want them involved as little as possible, generally speaking. So the further right you go, so moderate is like another way of saying you're like kind of in the middle of everything. So the further right, if you guys follow my mouse, the further right I go, it goes to the conservative. Again, the idea that, you want big business to operate privately. The government shouldn't really have too much of a place in that. People should really, make their own destiny and, make their own money and survival of the fittest kind of thing. I know it's not exactly like Darwinism, like survival of the fittest, but in a way, that's kind of what it is. The further right you go, you cross into the realm of libertarian. So if you are a libertarian, it means you literally don't want the government involved at all. Like you don't want any sort of government involvement. You don't want the government telling you how much money you can make. You don't want the government taking taxes. You don't want the government telling you what you can do with guns, with abortion, with any sort of topic you can think of. The government is really non-existent in your mind as a libertarian. And that is actually a third party. Now, the further right you go, and if you fall off this cliff here where this line ends, you're talking about total freedom. Another term we used is anarchy, okay, which we use that movie, and I'm blanking on the movie, The Purge. Okay, we talked a little bit about that. That 24-hour period where anybody could do whatever they wanted, and in the movie, it was mainly just killing people and stealing stuff, which I don't know how accurate that would be, but it's an example of what life would be like if the government just backed away and said, okay, we're not going to get involved. We're not going to tell you what you can and cannot do. Now, that's the right. Okay, so if you ended up on the right, so for example, of the people that took the quiz, 45% of you, roughly 32 of you, fell on the right side. Now, that doesn't mean that you all think that we should be living in an anarchical society, anarchical society like you see in the movies. It just means that your views tended to fall more on the right side. Okay, so maybe you don't want the government involved as much. Maybe you want the United States to worry more about themselves and not as much about what's going on in the rest of the world. Okay, now that was 45% of you. So that tells you right there that the majority of you landed on the left side or the liberal side. Okay, so quite the opposite of the right side. The further left you go, it means that generally speaking, the government plays a very big role in your life. Okay, the further left you go into the liberal category. You think the government should spend less on the military and more on welfare programs. You think that there should be more laws when it comes to guns. That you think there should be more of a government presence in business. Okay. The further left you go, you get into the socialist territory. The government really has a hold on, virtually everything, even things you really don't. Even if you're someone that wants the government involved in your life, you maybe don't want the government involved in everything. But that's kind of what socialism is. And the word tyranny comes into play. The whole fear that the colonies had back in the day when Great Britain, was overstepping their boundaries during the which led to the American Revolution. People did not want tyranny. They did not want a king or a queen telling them exactly what they need to do in every aspect of their life. But that's kind of what happens. And then when you get into the left, all the way to the left, you have total government. We call this communism. Okay, some of you may have heard of that term. Pretty much the government tells you what to do about everything. Okay, the government it's an overarching theme in your life. You name it, the government has a role in it. So in general, like I said, what this political spectrum means is, in my opinion, how much do you want the government in your life? Do you want it not much in your life at all? Or do you want it to be more heavily involved in most aspects of your life? So if you fell on the left side or the right side, there's no right or wrong answer. I'm not here to tell you which is better. I'm just showing you where you guys fell. Okay. So again, most of you. So if you fell on the left, if you picked the left, then that means you would have ended up in the left section. So again, if you look at the colors here, I'm not going to read each one of these. I'm just going to show you a few of them. But most of you would consider yourselves to be, those of you who picked the left, would be liberal Democrats. Okay, so that means you're more hovering around here, getting a little further away from the middle. So you definitely tend to have the idea that the government should be helping everybody. I know immigration gets brought up here, gun rights, immigration, how involved we are in international issues. You tend to support, more immigration, less restrictions on immigration. More gun, more laws that control who can buy a gun and when and where. And also we should be more heavily involved in other nations' lives. Okay. So most of you fell in that category. Now, if you keep going, there's different views. So a lot of you you're in the middle when it comes to the government being more involved in your lives. Again, generally speaking, if you consider yourself a liberal, It means that you tend to support more government programs, which means the government is going to be more involved in your life. If you picked the right earlier, it would have taken you to another category, the right side. And the vast majority of you, or I would say most of you, 43.8% of you felt that you were moderate Republicans, meaning that you would have ended up somewhere, you're not in the middle, you're definitely more to the right, but you're somewhere between moderate and conservative, kind of like right over here. Okay, so you do want the government taking some control of your life, but at the same time, you want to be able to be free to make your own decisions, which, some people support that, some people don't. Again, a lot of you, just between the right and the left, felt that you were independent. And I think that's great. I think that, your political preference is your own choice. But it's never a bad idea to kind of be in the middle and see, what each side is going. And overall, it seemed like the majority of you felt that your placement was accurate, meaning that, after you took that quiz, wherever it puts you based on your answers seemed pretty close to how you feel, which is great, which is really all I wanted. I just wanted to give you guys an idea of what this looks like when we talk about the political spectrum. And that's it. So just wanted to do a quick review of that. And I will talk to you guys later. Bye.